Eh bien, bonjour à tous, bonsoir à tous. Good evening. Magandan Gabi sa iyon lahat. Good evening. Thank you very much for all of you to be here tonight. I'm very happy to welcome you to this event tonight in honor of Father Matthieu Dauchez, and this chance to be safe, loved children as they are today, and fulfilled young adults tomorrow. When you see the misery of the slums, you understand how important this mission is. It is a mission of a lifetime. This is why I admire your dedication, Father, to this cause. I had the opportunity, thanks to you, to visit 2 ANAK centers for children in Quezon City. I was more than impressed by the life in those places, the laughter of those playful children, in spite of the incredibly difficult life courses they've had, in spite of the traumas that maybe will remain with them for life, but they have a capacity to smile and to also spread joy around them. And you've done so much to create a safe home for them. There are so many emergencies due to poverty, of course, problems of nutrition, health, education, all of which ANAK takes care of brilliantly. But getting out of poverty is much more than that, and these children need to be given self-confidence and love, the love in their lives. I was also able to visit another center with you in Tondo. I visited a center for elderly people because you're also taking care of people at different stages in their lives, and those people that were also in a situation of extreme loneliness. You give them back their dignity and you welcome them. In spite of all the disability, the age, and the illness, they're living a happy life. And we visited also preschool that you give to the children in the street, and I think this is also a wonderful gift for them to help them start in life in better, with better chances in spite of all the difficulties. Father Dauchez, you succeed to adapt to the individuality of those you help despite their number. You make sure that they see and feel loved, understood. There is still a lot to do, but you have accomplished so much already, and I'm sure that you will be continuing to accomplish this wonderful act and continue to give great hope for those kids, for their new life. The embassy is very happy to have been able to support you and your action over the years. Thank you very much for your commitment, and thank you all for being, all your staff in ANAK, of course, and all of them being here tonight. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you to be with us tonight for this moment. We're very happy to share with you. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you so much, Madame, for opening the doors of your residence tonight. And I would like also to thank you, all the people who has organized this beautiful evening tonight, and all of you for being here tonight to listen to the life lessons of the street children. So now let me introduce Tulay ng Kabataan Foundation. So abandoned to all kinds of dangers, the street children are the most vulnerable, ready to do anything to survive in the streets. There are more than 1,000 in the streets who have broken all ties with their families and who are victims of violence, drugs, and prostitution. To face this emergency, Tulay ng Kabataan Foundation, a Filipino NGO, was created in 1998 to help the poorest. It is directed by Father Matthieu Dauchez and assisted by Mrs. Gloria Recho. Today, more than 200 Filipino employees are working at the foundation, such as social workers, educators, psychologists, or house parents, and are taking care of more than 400 street children and more than 1,500 beneficiaries in the slums. Thanks to local groups in different countries, such as here in the Philippines, the foundation relies only on donations since the beginning. The foundation has 2 main programs, one for the street children and one for children in the slums. The Street Children program offers a new shelter, a new home, a new family for the street children until they become independent. We have more than 400 street children living 24/7 in our 28 homes. So the children are fetched by our team, like social workers and street educators, every day in the streets. Each child can continue his education according to his abilities and abilities. Our goal is to meet the basic needs of all the children without exception. Our homes are suitable for children such as toddlers, students, youth with disabilities, and we also have a home for elders. In the midst of Metro Manila, thousands of families daily suffer from the hardships of life in the slums. To meet the basic needs of these communities, the Foundation has a program to empower the parents to become the catalyst for change. Today, 12 daycare centers have opened in Manila Bay. 4 actions are set up to support these families in terms of education, health, social support, and nutrition. So every day, a daily meal is distributed to all of our beneficiaries. A preschool is also handled in our daycare center. In terms of health, our team does some medical checkups and also hygiene trainings. And our team also helps the families to address their various social issues. So do not hesitate to come to visit us in Quezon City. I now leave the floor to Father Matthieu, who has been at the service of the Foundation since 25 years, to be the spokesperson of these street children. And we will have time for questions and answers after his talk. Thank you.
My name is Rachel. When I was 5 years old, me and my family lived in the Divisoria state. It's not easy where we grow up.
I'm very thankful because Father Matthieu, he took me to go in foundation.
Alors, la mission de la Fondation ANAK-Tnk, ou l'ANAK est de servir les enfants et les familles les plus défavorisées de Manille. Quelqu'un qui est dans une situation catastrophique et qui a besoin d'aide, on ne la refusera.
Once a week, he's doing his big night with a social worker. So he has a plan. Okay, today we have this schedule. I have this target, this child to fetch. Maybe if the child wants, of course, it's always a surprise. Thanks to the social worker, we are allowed to fetch the children. But every day, in fact, we have other teams like them going in the streets.
When I approach them, I always smile. It's a simple way to give them respect.
Arnold grew up here. When he was 4 years old, just there at the bridge. I always talk about his past, and he's sad because he don't want to remember it.
It is very difficult for me because at all times I was lonely and nobody cares.
His father always beating him, so that he decided to go back. She said that I want my child to be in your foundation because he needs medical assistance. It's not good when he stays here.
L'atmosphère qui a prouvé à cet enfant, à ce jeune, qu'il est capable d'aimer et d'être aimé, il a tout gagné.
Vraiment plein d'espérance pour tous ces enfants et puis pas que pour eux finalement.
think the children in the street are bad. No, they are not. They are a product of a broken family. They need help. They need a hug from a person they can understand what they are. Small hug. No doubt. Just hug them. You can feel a true meaning of love.
Of course, we will not forget the foundation. That's our dream and goal to help them back.
That's why I'm so thankful. Without them, I'm not now what I am now.
Good evening to all of you. So I'm Father Matthieu Dauchez, the Executive Director of Tulay Nagabataan, and I'd like to thank you very much for being here this evening. I'm really touched to be able to share with you the greatest lessons from these children. Madame l'Ambassadeur, I have no words to thank you, not only for this evening, but for all the support you are giving to us. You cannot imagine the fruits that little by little is being brought for the foundation. And I'm really deeply touched. I saw you in the field, and it means a lot for us. So thank you so much. So first of all, I'd like you to know that my purpose this evening is not for you to hear a detailed description of what the Tulay Nagabataan Foundation is doing. What I want this evening is that we will learn from them. In fact, I want you this evening to be the beneficiaries. If you agree with this, you are not anymore the benefactors. This evening, you will be the beneficiaries. I want you to learn the greatest lesson from these children. And for this, I need something, is that you open your heart. Can you do this? Yes? All right. But it means that you become the beneficiaries. George Bernanos, who is a very famous French writer. I'm sorry, I'm French, so most of the reference will be French reference, of course. He was saying the poor have the secret of hope. Let us open our hearts to incredible and amazing lessons that the most unfortunate are giving us today. And I would like to speak with you this evening about resilience. Resilience. Do you know what is resilience? Yeah, for sure. Because resilience is very famous, no? We hear about resilience always. And these children, obviously, they show an incomparable resilience. And the Filipino people are very well known for their resilience. Maybe because of the many disasters they face every year, for sure, but also and especially because indeed, it's my experience. It's, I believe, the experience of all the ones who are in the Philippines for so long. It's in the Filipino nature. Yes, they are resilient for sure. The smiles always come back on the faces, even in the middle of a terrible trial. If you saw already documentaries or pictures of the children of Tulay Nagabataan Foundation, or if you are among the ones who already visited the foundation, you made this experience, Madame l'Ambassadeur, I'm sure that you have been amazed by their smiles and their joy in spite of their terrible suffering. We saw one, it's one of my first experience as, let's say, resilience. It's Arnold that you can see here. The young boy, I met him with Miss Gloria Ratio when we went to the dump site of Manila to meet with the scavenger children. I saw this little boy with his pick, you know, he was just looking for garbage, but with a big smile. And I was wondering how it's possible. I mean, he was only working to find what he can find in the trash, and he was with his big smile. We were going there with Ateglo every Saturday, and every Saturday he was waiting for us with a big smile. I mean, there is something, I mean, it's very nice that he has a smile, but I mean, something is very, let's say, powerful. It's this resilience that this smile is coming back always. Okay, so let's go to the resilience. I locked up my secret, and my secret locked me up. It's words of Edith Eva Eger. She is a very famous psychiatrist in the States also a survivor of concentration camp. And she's saying these words, I locked up my secret and my secret locked me up. It's telling a lot to understand resilience, because I will speak about resilience. The obvious resilience of the poorest among the poor. They are teaching us resilience. But what is resilience? You heard this word, no? What is resilience for you? Most probably you heard already the word resilience because it became famous for the past decades. You know that it's a new concept. Huh? Resilience appears after the World War II, and it's usually something, a concept to describe the inner strength that one has facing trial. An inner strength that will be more or less innate, an inner strength that will be more or less efficient, an inner strength that will be more and less quick also. It depends on the one who is resilient. In short, we do not know many things about resilience, in fact. But we can feel that it's different according to the people affected. And for sure, we can witness this in the foundation. I remember Princess is a little girl that we welcome in the foundation just because her mother was dying. So the barangay, the local barangay, entrusted the little girl to the foundation, and the mother passed away one day after. And I remember this little girl, she was prostrated. And she remained prostrated for 6 months. A little girl, huh? 6 months, meaning that every time, whatever we do, whatever we say, we were not able to get a smile on her face because she was prostrated. She felt the fact that her mother passed away. Huh? She was prostrated. And one day we arrived in the centers, and because of the efforts of all the educators, I saw for the first time the smile on the face of Princess. And I can tell you that my tears, I was really crying to see that, yes, at last, after so many months, she was able to be resilient. So resilience, we do not know anything about resilience, but we speak a lot about it, no? And sometimes we use the image of a tree. Okay, a tree. The image of a tree in the middle of a storm. You see, there are 3 different kinds of trees. The first one, it's the tree that is just falling because the wind is too strong. It breaks under the wind. It represents the one without resilience. Then we have the second tree. It is bending because of the wind, but it does not break. But it cannot come back to its original state. It is impacted by the shock with lasting consequences. It's the one with low resilience. And the third one, of course, you understand, it's the one who is bending because of the strong wind, but it can come back to its original state. It's said to represent the one with a strong resilience. The 3 different trees. So this image is giving us a first insight of what is resilience, but honestly, I believe that it is in fact misleading us. I think it's not a good image of resilience. Why? Because I believe that it's leading us to believe that resilience is only innate or inborn. And there are people with resilience and there are people without resilience. I do not agree with that. And my experience is that we can be instruments of resilience. You can be instruments of resilience. With all the ones suffering any trauma around you, you can be instruments of resilience. So I prefer much more this image. You see, the flower running through the asphalt. I prefer much more this one because it shows that resilience is a beautiful alliance between strength, for sure, but also fragility, frailty. I like to give you an example because we can be instrument of resilience. Here you have a young boy, his name is Jimmy. Jimmy experienced the worst. His parents got killed in his area, slums area. We won't go into detail, but he was sheltered by a couple in a slum area using Jimmy as a slave. So in fine, he just left and go to the street and to take refuge in the street. But when he arrived in the street with a group of street children, he was abused by a pedophile, sexually molested by a pedophile on a parking lot area in Quezon City. So Jimmy just closed his heart and he lost any trust in the adult. I do not trust adults anymore. An adult is the one using me, an adult is the one violent with me, an adult is the one abusing me, sexually abusing me. So Jimmy was really close. He does not trust anymore the adults. He was able to join the foundation a few times because of the work of the street educators, but we remember that he was not really lasting few days in the foundation, just going back to the street. Why? Because he does not trust the adults. So only few, very unstable, just going back to the street. But one day in the street, he had an accident. He was bumped by a car, and the street children in this area called us in the centers and told us, Jimmy is in ICU because he has been bumped by a car. Can you come and help? So we went to the area. He had his leg broken in 3 parts. So the doctors told us there is no choice. Jimmy must be lying down for 6 weeks. Imagine Jimmy, who was so unstable, he had no choice than to stay in the foundation, lying down for 6 weeks. And what happened is that during these 6 weeks, the nurses of the foundation, the educators of the foundation were taking care of him every day after day, and little by little, he regains the trust he lost in adults. And I remember one day I was going to the foundation, and I went to the room where he was lying. He was not saying a word. I remember he was even quite serious. And I approached him and said, Jimmy, how are you? It's okay. Are you feeling anything? He did not say a word, but he just embraced me. And I realized that, in fact, something happened deep inside his heart because of the accident. I mean, I don't wish accident for the children, of course, but because of this, the healing of his body became, in fact, the healing of his soul. He was really resurrected deep inside. So this was the resilience. I believe that the nurses and the educators of the foundation became instrument of his resilience. So among the psychologists in France, but I believe also in all the other countries of the world, but I read only books in French, I'm sorry. So among the psychologists, the usual move is this one. One is the trauma, then the traumatism, I will explain, then the resilience, then you can gain hope. 1, trauma, then traumatism, second. 3, the resilience, how the child or the people can be resilient, and at last, hope. So there is first what we call the trauma. And the trauma is the traumatic event itself. For example, the death of the mother of Princess, or the abuse of Jimmy. It's the traumatic event itself. It's the trauma. And the trauma is what is causing the wound deep inside the heart of the child. And for the children in the street, you can imagine easily how terrible are the traumas. Rejection, separation from their families, violence, criminality outside, abuses, and indifference. A few months ago, there is one street girl who told me that she witnessed herself, her mother being stabbed by a man to death. You imagine how the trauma might be terrible for this young girl. But, and this is very important, the trauma may not be the worst, because the traumatism, the second one, the traumatism is even more pernicious and harmful. Traumatism, trauma is the traumatic event. Traumatism is all the consequences of the trauma. It's the after effect, the aftershock of the trauma that can simply reproduce the pain of the trauma or even amplify it in the heart of the victim. Dante, in his Divine Comedy, is saying that it's written at the entrance of hell, All hope abandon you who enter in. It's what we experience. I remember we sheltered few years ago a young adolescent. Each time a male would approach him, he was doing like this, protecting himself. You see? Each time a male is approaching, he was just protecting himself. The reaction. I have also one of our youth who is with us for so many years, and he was telling me that when he was 14 years old, he has been sexually abused by a pedophile. He's 20 years old now, 6 years after, and he's still feeling that he is dirty inside. Up to the point that he is telling me that it happens that some days he is taking 5 showers a day. 5 showers a day. Why? Because he feels that deep inside he is dirty. You see the consequence? But I like to explain this picture. I think it's very telling. This is a picture we took in Monumento, near the KFC in Monumento, in the north of Caloocan. Okay. And the street educators were having activities with a group of children, and they are doing, coloring, sometimes game, to familiarize the children with the foundation. And this child might be 12 years old, and he was saying that he's too tired because of the begging the whole day, so he does not want to join the activities. He will just sleep. And the street educators, they saw, look, taking his carton to sleep, but I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious, but he's putting himself in the garbage. I mean, I will sleep outside, I will choose the sidewalk, or I will choose a place where I can be protected. Consciously or unconsciously, this child is choosing to put his carton in the midst of the trash. You see what is happening deep inside? How everything is destroyed. How can we accept that a child will be so wounded deep inside that he is seeing himself as a garbage? And it's exactly what we experience. So I'm sorry for all these very difficult and dramatic examples I'm giving, but nothing will be worse than to sanitize the reality. Even if our hearts and our eyes should be looking toward heaven, we need to keep our feet on earth to see the reality, because that's what is happening. That's what we are experiencing for 25 years, meaning that yes, they are experiencing terrible traumas, but what is happening deep inside is much more terrible. A million times more when we speak of sexual abuse. I can tell you, and it's our experience, that when a child is sexually abused, he will never fully heal. Never. He will bring this wound during all his life or her life. It's terrible. It's creating a wound in the hearts of these children that will never fully heal. Pope Francis, a few years ago, was speaking of psychological murder. When it comes to sexual abuse, this is exactly our experience. It's destroying, destroying. Remember the one who is taking 5 showers a day? It's destroying. Okay. But the worst of all, whatever are the trauma, the worst of all for the children, it's indifference. To feel that they are nothing for no one. They are not worthy to love and to be loved like all the other children of the world. Edgar here is a child who has been a battered child. He suffered the violence of his father from his early childhood. And one day the street educators are calling me and they are telling me, Father Matthieu, Edgar is waiting for you at the gate of the foundation, but he seems to be very mad. Okay, I go outside and I found Edgar, who is so, mad, and I think that it's because of the fact that he suffered again violence from his father. And when he was a little quiet, I'm asking him, so Edgar, what happened? Tell me, why are you like this? How can I help? And maybe you suffered violence again from your father? And he's looking at me and he's telling me, but Father, you don't understand. The problem is not that I have been beaten by my father, I'm used to it. The problem, and that's what I'm mad, it's because my mother was there and she did not say anything. You understand what's happening in the heart of Edgar? I mean, he was strong enough now to face the violence of his father, but the indifference of his mother, no, it was not possible for him. Indifference. You see, what was terrible for Edgar was not anymore the pain of what he suffered because of his father, but the lack of love, indifference, to love and to be loved. I'm going back to the movement usually agreed by many psychologists. We have the trauma, the traumatizing event that leads to the traumatism, which is all the consequences of the trauma, sometimes even more painful. And these need resilience in order to open the door of hope. No, here comes our famous resilience. And this movement seems to be very reasonable and consistent because we understand easily that the trauma is shutting the door of hope because of what the children suffer. They are losing hope. So we need a way to reopen the door of hope, and this is called resilience. How do you feel? Why not, no? I'm not against this, because for sure resilience is obviously bringing back hope in life. But we need to be accurate with the words. And this is something I want to say. We need to be accurate with the words because in this case, we speak of what Pope Benedict XVI calls the modest hope. There are two different hopes and we need to make the difference. It's not the great one. The modest hope is the fruit or the result, the success of resilience. While the great one, I believe, is the source of resilience. So it's two different things. I'll go deeper into this in a little while, but here is what I strongly believe and what I want to share with you after more than 24 years serving the most vulnerable ones, the most wounded hearts. I can say without a doubt that I have just been witnessing all these years miracles. Miracles done mysteriously in the heart of these children. I would not exchange my place for anything because I'm witnessing miracles every day. And this is what I want to share. But let's go back to the resilience first. I was saying a while ago that with the tandem trauma-traumatism, it is as if the child was wounded two times. And if he is wounded two times, the trauma and the traumatism, he must be healed also two times. And psychologists agree to say, and this time I fully agree with them, it's our experience in the foundation, they say that the two means for this healing are a loving presence, a loving atmosphere. The child needs a loving atmosphere, and two, an opportunity to express it, to verbalize what he suffered. And this is very important. That's why we need artistic activities with the children. That's why we need psychologists. That's why we need social workers. That's why we need all these people who are a listening ears for these people. It's not only to treat a trauma, but to be able to let them express and verbalize what they suffer. I don't have time to go deeper into the strategies of resilience, but the child should feel that he is safe and loved in the foundation and that the surroundings are protecting him. Safety and love. And you know, it's very telling because one day we organized an activity with one of the centers of the foundation and we asked the children, so tell us in one word, what is for you the foundation? One word to define the foundation. 80% were speaking of love or family, and the remaining 20% were speaking of protection or safety. You see, it's exactly what they need in order to be resilient. And at the same time, it's to express it, the foundation should give the opportunity to the children to express, to verbalize. But the atmosphere is so important. The child to remove this carton from the trash, the child should be in an atmosphere of love. And this is very important. We are insisting a lot with the one who are in charge of the center. It's to create an atmosphere of love. So a French specialist, maybe you know him already, Mr. Boris Cyrulnik, is speaking of the need to create stakes of resilience, or let's say props of resilience. You know, it's like these rods of wood that we use to support the stem of a plant. And I like very, very much this image because it's exactly the way resilience should be nurtured. Don't think that resilience is innate. Don't think that resilience can be forced. But we can say that resilience is to be nurtured. You can be instruments of resilience. So you understand now that the mission of the foundation is much deeper than to provide food, to provide a roof, to provide clothes, even much deeper than to give a brilliant future to our beneficiaries. Yes, of course, we will accompany them up to college if they are capable of it. But it's much deeper than this. The mission of the foundation is to offer these props of resilience. The mission of the foundation is to create a secure atmosphere of love in which the child, according to his capacity, will be able to develop its own resilience and grow in spite of a terrible history. You remember the young child when we arrived on Smoky Mountain? Now he's a cook in the merchant navy and he is about to get married. I mean, what a beautiful consolation. What a beautiful hope, no? Hope. It's hope which is coming back in his heart, and it's hope coming back also in our heart. We create this atmosphere of love and security, and we give the opportunity to the child to express himself. Then we can expect the child to find new hope. The children thirst for that. Great. Maybe we can be satisfied with this, but I'm telling you, for me, it is not enough. It is not enough. I'm very happy for Arnold because, yes, hope, the modest hope, is coming back to his life. Okay, I'm very happy for him, but it's not enough. Not enough because they thirst for much more than this. I remember during Christmas time, we are giving a gift to each child, you know, so that they experience the joy of Christmas. Now we are giving one gift to each child. And I remember a young boy, he was with his gift, not even open, and he was crying. And I asked him, why are you crying? And he told me, because I'm thinking of my sister. She's still in the street, and she does not have the gift. And as a little boy, I will open right away my gift to see what I receive. But here, he was thinking of his sister. First of all, the one who is still suffering. They thirst for much more than resilience. They thirst for love. So you remember what I said a while ago? This hope, the hope of a boy who became a cook in the merchant navy, is the one called the modest hope. Not modest in the sense that it will not be important or beautiful. No, the modest hope is so important and enlightening our lives, giving this meaning. And we are fighting every day for this. 24/7, we are fighting for this modest hope. But it is not enough because obviously the children thirst for more than a bright future. They thirst for something great. Not only love, but the greatest love. Not only the modest hope of a brighter future, but the great hope of being fulfilled by love. And because of my faith as a priest, I believe fulfilled by God, because for me, God is love. Václav Havel, that you know very well, was saying the great hope is not the hope that everything will be fine, but the certainty that everything makes sense. In French, the French is very rich. So in French, we have two words. In English, it's only hope, no? In Tagalog, it's pag-asa. In French, the modest hope is called espoir, while the great hope is espérance, and it's two different things. The modest hope is properly a human attitude. It's centered on us. When the great hope, espérance, is a theological virtue, meaning it's centered on God. So modest hope is staring at the horizon, the future, what will happen, when the great hope is contemplating the sky. The modest hope clings to the future. The great hope embraces eternity. The modest hope starts with an expectation and ends with a possible gift or not. The great hope, on the other hand, is based on a gift received already. It's a victory of love. It's the I thirst pronounced by Christ on the cross. It's the victory of love. In some way, we could say that the modest hope is, I hope it will happen, but I'm not sure. While the great hope is, I persevere because I know it's won. Love has won. So it's two different concepts. Huh? Espoir, the modest hope is, I hope it will happen. I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at the horizon. Espérance, the great hope is not like this. The great hope is relying on the fact that the answer of a God of love was yes to love. Yes to love. I'm sorry, a French priest in a French embassy is making catechism already, but did you ever wonder why the Christian symbol is a cross? I mean, what is amazing is the resurrection, no? There have been so many people nailed on a cross. Why did we choose the cross? I mean, what is amazing, it's a resurrection. I'm not capable of coming back to life. So we should have found a symbol of the resurrection. But we are using a symbol which is the cross. But it's because for a God who is the master of life, resurrection is not amazing. But the fact that he agreed to say yes up to the end, that a God is nailed on the cross, died on the cross, this is amazing. This is a great answer, and it's an answer of love. You see the victory of love? So the great hope is a victory. Not a resounding victory is nailed on a cross, but a victory of love. I thirst, it means I thirst for your love, and I thirst to love. So we do not speak anymore, or not only of the success of what we implement in the foundation for the children. No, we speak of the fruit in their heart. I prefer much more a heart capable again of loving than a successful story of a child who keeps resentment and anger in his heart. I prefer much more a heart who is beating again. You see, the words I thirst, pronounced by Christ on the cross, became the victory of love. And believer or not, we must lead the children, the poor, the ones suffering to exactly the same victory. Once again, their hearts must beat again. The society, their own families sometimes are telling to these children, your heart is not worthy to love and to be loved. We must lead them to shout on the rooftop of the world that this is not true. If we understand the phenomenal difference between the two hopes, we understand also what is at stake, not only to fight for a brighter future, for the door of the modest hope to be open, even if we are fighting every day for this, but also and especially to root our action, our props of resilience in a victory of love. It's one. To let their hearts be overwhelmed by the love they deserve, to let their hearts beat again. Thirst, huh? They thirst for so much. And I will dare to ask you, what about your own thirst? I wonder, and I dare to say that these children thirst much more for love than you and me. So we have to learn from them, because this is the essential in our life, to thirst for love, love and be loved. But again, they thirst for the greatest love. Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus is saying these beautiful words, very simple. The heart of a child does not seek riches and glory. What this child asks for is love. The children are thirsting for love, but not only the love they were deprived, much more, they thirst for the greatest love. And here I have a very good example. It's the one of Marisa that you can see on this picture. Marisa is a mentally challenged girl. She was found in the street. She was only 10 or 11 years old, abandoned by her mother, most probably because she was mentally handicapped. So the mother felt that she cannot take care of her child. She just left Marisa in the street. And the street educators were able to get Marisa, and she was sheltered in the foundation. She is now more than, I think she's 21 years old. You see, 10 years in the foundation. No news of the mother, never. She never showed up. She never tried to find Marisa. But one of the workers in the foundation, with the social media, she was able to locate the mother. She found the mother. And she told this to Marisa. And Marisa said, I want to see my mother. So we contacted the mother, and the mother agreed to meet with her child. So a group of social workers with Elise was there. You were the one to take this picture. They went to the slum area where the mother was living. And when they arrived, they entered the house of the mother of Marisa. And when the mother saw Marisa, she started to cry and cry. I don't know if it's because of shame of what she did, or maybe because she was so touched and emotional to see her daughter again, but she was crying. And then they witnessed a beautiful scene to see that Marisa just embraced her mother. Do you realize what's happening there? Marisa is the one consoling her mother of the evil she did. Everything is reversed. I mean, in a Hollywood movie, we will see the mother running to her child and embracing her and asking for forgiveness. No, Marisa was the one to console her own mother of the evil she did. You see, facing the evil done to the most innocent ones, or to ourselves as well, there are three different groups. The first one is desperate. This world has no meaning, no hope. The second group are the ones focusing only on this world, trying to repair what can be repaired. They are the ones who count only on the resilience process. They bet on the psychological miracle. They bet on the modest hope. It's good, very good. But once again, it's not enough. And the third group, finally, are the ones raising their eyes and putting their hope, the great hope, in the kingdom of God, which is not of this world. And it's what I believe deep inside. If I dare, I could say that there is an horizontal resilience, which focuses only on the props of resilience, and the atmosphere of love. So very important, huh? And there is a vertical resilience whose source is found in the great hope. The horizontal one is seeking success in rebuilding a wounded heart, while the vertical one is entrusting the fruit to God, to the source of love. But do not be wrong, huh? I'm not opposing one to the other. Huh? You understand? Huh? I want to unite both. So I could speak for hours. I won't. I'm almost done, promise, right? Because maybe some of you are already very hungry. But I would like to conclude with very few words again on this great hope. Because this great hope is urging us. This great hope is urging me and you. Our mission in the foundation is not the one of Superman. trying to save as many children as possible, but only to bring the children on a road of a true hope, the great one, not the success of human means, but the fruit of a beating heart. I don't want to see again a child putting his carton in the midst of trash. I don't want this. I'm convinced that the most fruitful thing I did in 24 years as a priest was only to let the children pray in front of the Eucharist, because I believe in the Eucharist and I believe it's the source of love, to put the children in front of love. Gustave Thibon, it's a French writer also, was saying God will have the last word. God will have the last word at the end of the world. We have no doubt, but this is not a sufficient reason to leave the floor to the devil too often until then. So do not be wrong. We will fight always. Count on us. We will fight always. To let God act in their hearts does not mean that all the things implemented in the foundation are useless. No, they are fruitful, for sure. And you can count on us. We will fight. We will fight for them. We will fight to give them a roof, to send them back to school. We will fight against the pedophiles outside. But most of all, we will fight to let them feel an atmosphere of love, to let them know that, like all the other children of the world, they can love and be loved. So, I'm terribly useless, you know. But I must say, I'm fortunately useless. Fortunately useless. Because what I can see is that we will do everything we can, but in the end, we must let love act deep inside their hearts. So as a conclusion, let's give me my own definition of resilience. Not anymore the one of the psychologist, but my own definition of resilience. I'm sorry, it's again a priest definition of resilience. Yes, sorry, I'm a priest. It's how I define resilience. Resilience is the strength drawn from the absolute certainty that God can draw good from anything. Resilience is a fruit of hope that arises when one let himself be transfigured by love. In brief, resilience rooted in hope is the transfiguration of love. I only want one thing, is that all the children entering the foundation will feel that they can love and be loved like all the other children of the world. I'd like to end with this beautiful picture. This was taken also on Smoky Mountain, and you see the smile of these two young girls is very telling. Lastly, before, if you have any questions, I'd like to show a short video. You know maybe that last 2015, Pope Francis visited the foundation, and he came to the foundation, he visited the foundation, and he also, we had two of our children, beneficiaries of the foundation, who were asking questions in front of Pope Francis. And one of our young girls, she was 12 years old at that time, she's asking the question of evil. Why? To the Pope indirectly, why is God allowing such a terrible thing? And the Pope is answering, you ask the only question which has no answer. But he is embracing her. So in fact, the Pope Francis was wrong, meaning that he should have said, you ask the only question which has no explanations, because he gave the answer.
Nakatira po ako sa Tulay ng Kabataan Foundation. Marami na po ang mga batang pinabayaan ng kanilang mga magulang. Marami sa kanila ang naging biktima at masama ang nangyari sa kanila. Tulad
Ella hoy ha hecho la única pregunta que no tiene respuesta. Yo aprendí a llorar cuando veo un niño con hambre, un niño drogado en la calle, un niño que no tiene casa, un niño abandonado, un niño abusado, un niño usado por una sociedad como esclavo.
Très simple. Ces enfants, pauvres parmi les pauvres, sont le trésor de notre Église. Ils sont nos maîtres d'œuvre.
So thank you so much for listening carefully this evening. I hope I was not too long. We have maybe a few minutes for questions. If you have any questions, I'll give the mic. But not too long because I think that I can see on the face that some are very hungry.
Thank you very much, Father, for this very impressive revelation of your work, and thank you for inviting us to allow to share in your work. That is very much a gift for all of us. I have three questions. My first question is, why and how did you choose to come to work in Manila as opposed to 200 other countries of the world? Secondly, do you have many Filipino benefactors? Who are they and how do they help you? And my third question is, what is your relationship with the Filipino state, with the Filipino government, whether it is barangay, the local government, the city of Manila, the national state, and what do you expect of them?
Okay. So first question, why I arrived in the Philippines? please keep it secret. It's because of pride. Pride. I'm a French guy from Versailles in France, and I never left my place. I don't want to travel. I don't want to go in any countries. But when I was in the seminary, one of my friends told me, "Oh, you are from Versailles. You are not capable of this." You see, pride. I said, "How come I'm not capable?" Of course I am. Inside I was thinking, no, I'm not. But you see, it's because of pride. So keep it secret, please, because I arrived here only because of pride. But when I arrived, I understand that I wanted to stay. Because when you arrive, you understand very quickly that the needs are much more important than only to give a roof or to give clothes and food. So at that time, I understand that it was not a matter of 1 year, 2 years, but it was really a matter of life. And that's why I chose to stay. And I'm incarnated in the Archdiocese of Manila. I have been ordained here in Manila. I belong to the Archdiocese of Manila. We used to say that I'm a French national, but a Filipino priest. So not only I decided to stay, but I love the Philippines from the depths of my heart. Second question. What was the second question?
Filipino beneficiaries.
Filipino. Yes, we have many Filipino helping. First of all, it's the team in the foundation. I mean, you are looking at the guy who is speaking, but we have more than 200 Filipino who are working, acting. This atmosphere of love that I was speaking, it's because of them. And they are incredibly dedicated, really. I'll give you an example because it's more telling. We had we sheltered a boy who is autistic. So when he arrived, he was 6 years old and he was not able to speak, not at all. And one of the Filipino women there working with us, dedicated, she was taking this boy every day to let him say O, E, pronunciation. And she was not telling me. And one day, after many years, I entered the center, and the boy who was not able to speak at all, he welcomed me and he told me, "Father Matthieu, good morning." I mean, it's because of, it took years, maybe 2 years for her to get, it's to illustrate the dedication. So we have a team incredible. We have also people helping a lot from the outside, not working inside the foundation, from the outside. There are some here with us this evening. So I will not praise too much because they might be very ashamed. But each time we are preparing any kind of project, there is a huge group all of a sudden dedicated and helping a lot. And we receive also donations from people here from the Philippines in kind and also in financial help. So yes, we receive a real support. I must say that, you know, the resilience we were speaking is so much in the nature of Filipinos that the ones who are helping can feel it. And really, they are very sensitive to this, so helping a lot. Third question. It's a very sensitive question inside an embassy. The relationship with the state of the Philippines. What I can say is that we are working hand in hand with the SWD, so the welfare department. We are accredited with the SWD, meaning that we represent, in fact, the welfare department in the street and in the slums. The help they give to us is to make an audit every 3 years. So you will say that an audit is not really a help, but in fact it is, because it's urging us to keep a high level of service to the children, given to the children. So with the welfare department, we have very good relationship, and they are very supporting when it comes to, accompanying the foundation in serving the children. Of course, I like more, but I'm never satisfied. So I would like much more help. I would like them to provide us with many social workers, for example, and but for me it's never enough. You understand this evening, no? With the Department of Justice, we were able to have a meeting with Madame l'Ambassadeur in the Department of Justice, and they are very much willing to help. We had another meeting with Mayor Belmonte. They are very much willing to help. But as you know, everything is very slow. But it's not a matter of the Philippines or no. I mean, in France, sorry to say, but sometimes I'm, especially for the strikes, I'm very happy to be in the Philippines. Huh? So yes, we have good relationship, very good relationship. They acknowledge the work we do. The only thing, let's say the negative point I will say, is that in fact we are doing the job that should be done by the welfare department, but I mean, how can we blame when it's the 13th work to be done of Hercules? Huh? I mean, it's so huge. There are so many things to do. Maybe the question is not to say who should act, who should help. The question is how I can help. And you know, it's a different question, but sometimes people are asking me, why in the Philippines? There's so much work to do in France. I was asked, and during one of my conferences in France, someone asked, Father, why are you there? Why there is so much work to do? And I answered, I said, you are very right. What are you doing? And it's very important for me because what is important is not the place. What is important is we, all of us, we have this responsibility. You are probably not called to serve the street children of Manila, but you are obviously called to serve the one who is at your door. So, yes, the government should act, but we should ask ourselves always, the lonely person at my door, or the one who is in need at my door, am I available for him, for her, right now? It's the one who is in front of me. You know, we are not serving the street children of Manila. We are serving this child who is now in the street. We will not solve the problem of the street children. We are sheltering 450 children in our shelters, but there are 10,000 in Manila. It's a drop, but like what Mother Teresa was saying, it will miss. But the way we are ready to help the one who is in front of me right now, not to close our eyes on the ones who are in need, we are already doing so much. I mean, my question is, you ask one question, I answer 10, but anyway. But I'm sorry, I'm very talkative, but one day I was outside the foundation speaking with a former child of the foundation. He visited me. And on the side, there was an old guy who was doing, you know, he was like this and doing like this on the side. And you know how we are. So I was speaking to the alumni of the foundation, and my right eye was looking at him, saying, "It's a crazy guy. What I mean, I must be ready. Maybe all of a sudden he will. I don't know because he seems to be crazy." And the former child of the foundation saw me, and he told me, "Maybe you don't know, huh, but he's doing this. It's not because he's crazy. He's doing this because he feels hunger. He's hungry, so he's trying to let hunger pass." And we used to do these moves in order to let hunger pass. And I realized that my eyes were closed. His eyes were open. Why I'm saying this is that I believe that one of our mission, all of us, whatever is our work, even if you are the big boss of a company in Makati, it's the same, to open our eyes, to be able to see. And when we see, we act. Any other question?
I've been with UNICEF for 30 years. I started my first year working with these 3 children. And then, but this is not about me, my work at UNICEF, but I wanted to appreciate and acknowledge what you just told, such an emotional story. What you said that learning from these kids is really what you made it very right. So I have learned so much for myself, and these are emotional stories. We assume that many things we know, but we is sometimes are also blinded by many other things in the middle of business. So first of all, thank you so much for all the dedication and work helping so many children. But just bring back to my professional work. We work with the government, we work with many other stakeholders, but whatever we do, what you do, we also contribute to something common for children. So I wanted to offer my professional engagement with the ambassador with who I very closely work. There are many children in the Philippines who are not receiving a single routine vaccine, and this has become one of the big issues globally. And there are many children who are not being able to read, etc. So we are working in those areas. So I would like to share what we can exchange professionally to support, and I simply appreciate this. I wouldn't call, maybe it's charity, maybe it's really something deeper that really touched me very deeply inside me. So thank you very much for inviting, and we will be following up with the ambassador what is the best from the professional side in terms of looking into such matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really beautiful stories. I learned so much.
There is no question.
J'ai une question, je serai très court. Qu'est-ce que, une fois que c'est, sorry, I'll continue in English. Many people doesn't speak French, I suppose. Once this child has reached the level of hope and reached maybe the 18 years old, 20 years old, 22, because you exist since nearly 25 years, I understand. Do you have relationship with organization to look for job, or this is out of? I think you give one example of someone who, Oscar, I think Arnold, who already found a job. But out of the 400 kids, how many at the end of the day, or once they reach 20 years old? My second question is very short. Do you go to France every year? And do you go for a tour like our old friend Father Tritz, for those who knows him, a French priest who died at 102. And Father Tritz was doing a round in France every year and was extremely successful with his round. We received him in Brittany about 15 years ago, and we hope to invite you to follow up the steps of Father Tritz.
So for the first question, yes, we have partnerships with few organizations. The one for the Cook on Merchant Navy is IFS in Mariveles with the Maritime Academy, and they are giving trainings for some of our youth who can become cook on Merchant Navy. So these are very good partnerships. Yes, sometimes we have proposals from companies who are able to welcome our youth in order for them to give them the first job. And this is very good. And if you have any idea, I'm very, we are really seeking these kind of opportunities to offer this not only to the youth of the foundation, but also the former children of the foundation, to give them opportunities. But once again, it's very important, but it's not the most important. My greatest consolation is to see that they become a loving father and a loving mother, and it's what we see. So give us these opportunities, please. because we need to give them jobs so that they can really step. It's very important. But once again, that's the two different hopes that we were speaking about. That's the first question. And I forgot the second question. The tour. Yes, I'm going every year. I'm going in October. Every October, during 3 weeks, I'm going to France usually, and usually I'm giving conference, and they are communicating on this. But once again, I might surprise you, but my purpose is not first of all to raise funds. My purpose is exactly what I did this evening. I want people to be the beneficiaries of these children. Meaning, I really believe that if we give, we must give with the heart. And to be able to give with our heart, we must first of all be able to learn from them, to be the beneficiaries of these children. I believe that one of the most important missions of the foundation is to be the spokesperson of these children, the spokesperson of the beautiful lessons of joy, of resilience, of forgiveness. There are so many beautiful lessons that they are giving us, and we must open our heart to this. So my purpose is, I'm giving conference, and we are not calling for funds during. I don't want. I also believe in God. That's written here. And I strongly believe that he will not abandon his children. So the financial part is very important. Please help us. But obviously, we will find the funds. And it's what is happening for 25 years. It's what we call the divine providence. I remember, at Eglo, you remember, maybe we were in the administration. It was many years ago. And one of the computers of one of the centers had broken. It was broken. And the center coordinator arrived and said, "We need a computer." And she did not end her. We need a computer. That someone was entering the foundation with a computer and saying, "I want to donate a computer." This is how the divine providence is working. So yes, we need help. But once again, I believe that our first mission, when I'm going to France for this tour, don't expect me to call for funds, because I know that if you want to give, you will give. If you are touched by the children, you will be willing to help. It's like this. But I want the people to learn from them. I want the people to hear their lessons. I wrote few books. It's not to give my testimony. I don't say in my books, I'm not interested with it. I will not write or experience in the foundation on how the foundation is working very well. No. What I share in the books, it's the lessons from the children. So I wrote a book about evil, the question of evil. I wrote a book about joy, the mystery of joy. I wrote a book about forgiveness, because I believe that they have so many lessons and the world is not listening to them. We must be their spokesperson. And I know that it's exactly what Father Tritz was doing. And that's why he was successful. It's because he was sharing this, I believe. I don't see.
Okay, so are there any more questions?
I think it's okay, no? I'll stay here. Huh?
So thank you really very, very much for coming tonight. We hope that you appreciated all these experiences that Father Matthieu shared with us. And now we invite you to come in the garden for a cocktail. Thank you.